So in this video we are going to talk about some of the services which are provided by assessment centres around the UK. We're going to talk about a couple of them, so in the description section below I will put the timestamp of each of those sections so you can fast forward to the one which is most suitable for you. I hope you find this video of good use. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the useful links, and the first one is Driving Mobility. Driving Mobility are the organisation which accredits the 20 charities and NHS centres around the UK. If you go onto their website, you will see the services that they provide, as well as where your nearest assessment centre is. The next useful one is one which is very close to my heart, which is Herts Ability, based in Welwyn Garden City in Hertfordshire. They also have outreach centres in Harlow, Watford and Dunstable. Now, as well as being an assessment centre, they are also an equipment centre, and they will be able to provide you from the smallest things like walking sticks all the way up to walking showers, walking baths and powered wheelchairs. They are a fantastic team with occupational therapists that are there to also help you know how to use that equipment. And the reason why I know they're so good is because I have the pleasure of working for them on a part-time basis. The next useful link is Motability. Motability are a charity which will be able to help you if you are at the higher rate of PIP or DLA for mobility. If you are, they will be able to fund a vehicle with the adaptations for the requirements that you need. Most dealerships do offer Motability, but if you go onto their website again, they will be able to help and give you more information on that. They can also pay towards some of your driving lessons or familiarisation lessons as well, and again, this information is on their website. And the last useful link is Disability Driving Instructors. Disability Driving Instructors was started by a driving instructor called John Rogers. We regard him as the godfather of disability driving instruction. And it's a very easy website to use. You just put down your postcode, the adaptations or requirements that you need, including deaf, SEN, and it will find you the closest instructor that will be able to help with your requirements. So before you have an assessment, we would always recommend that you have a couple lessons with a driving instructor, just so you can gain some extra skills and to be a safer driver. It will also help you feel a little bit more comfortable on the day. Now, if you are a DVLA or DVA referred client, a letter will be sent to you and the assessment centre. Once you've received that letter, it's always good to contact the assessment centre a few days after to confirm a date and time. The DVLA or DVA will cover the cost of this assessment. If you are self-referred or referring a client, then you will contact the assessment centre directly, either by phone or by their online form. And remember, this can be found on the Driving Mobility's website. The costs do differ from one assessment centre to the other, so contact them to find out. If you are a Motability client, the assessment will be booked by the assessment centre and you will be contacted. The costs will be covered if you do have a physical disability. Now, if that date doesn't work for you, you can always rebook it. If you are a professional healthcare worker booking an assessment for a client, you will need to fill in their online form and your organisation will cover the costs. Now, on the day of the assessment, we would always urge that the driver does not drive to the assessment centre, and the reason for that is because we don't want you to be fatigued before you start. The assessment will last around 3 hours, so bring some food and drink with you as well. The assessment also cannot be conducted in your own vehicle. The assessment vehicle must have dual controls, so if you are using a driving instructor's vehicle, that won't be an issue either. Now, when you get to the assessment centre, provide your driving licence, and then the assessor will talk you through what the assessment will consist of, as well as some possible outcomes. If you are happy with what they've described, you will then sign a declaration for you to say that you are happy with the assessment to start. Now, there are 4 categories that you may be asked to do. The first one is a physical assessment, and this is to see your movements, so how your limbs are able to move, as well as strength. And this is so we can see that the assessment vehicle that you are going to be using is most appropriate for you. The second part is a cognitive assessment, and this is carried out by an occupational therapist. As drivers, we must be able to multitask, as well as being able to know what our surroundings have in store for us. So this part of the assessment will see how you are able to adapt and to see certain scenarios. This will last for around 40 minutes. You will then have a break, to which you can have some tea, coffee and your lunch, before, when you're ready, to then start with the driving part. You will be asked to read a registration plate from the minimum distance of 20 meters before getting in the vehicle. Now, we appreciate that it is a different vehicle to the one that you've been driving, so you will be given as much time as you need. And the bit I cannot stress enough, it is not a driving test, it's an assessment. Okay, we are called assessors, not examiners. So we aren't anywhere near as strict as what they were when you did your driving test. If you have bad habits, it's not an issue, as long as you tick the 3 boxes, which are that you are safe, that you are legal, and that you are in control of the vehicle. And as long as you do cover those 3 subjects, we would suggest that you are safe to continue to drive. Now, once you are used to that vehicle, and ask as many questions as you need before the assessment, so if you want to know how to turn the stereo on, for instance, you will then state, "I'm now happy to start," to which you will sign another declaration, and then the assessor will describe what will happen on that route. Now, the assessment route will consist of different types of junctions and scenarios. They appreciate that you may only drive to the shops and back, but as a license holder you must be able to drive on all road conditions, because your license entitles you to that. So you will be assessed at faster roads as well. Now, you may be asked to do a maneuver along the route. It's not, again, anything like a driving test. We just want to make sure that you are able to do a maneuver safely. The assessment will last around 40 minutes, to which you will then get back to the assessment centre and be asked to wait inside. The assessor and the occupational therapist will describe what they've seen, and then they will call you into a waiting room, to which they will tell you what their decision is. Now, the first outcome, which we are always hoping to say, is that you are safe to drive and go out there and have some fun, but be legal and safe. The second one might be that we've seen that you're a good driver, but we are concerned about a couple of things, and we would like you to have a few lessons before coming back. This could be the scenario, especially if you are new to driving with adaptations, and that's why it's always good to have lessons before the assessment, so you can get used to how that particular adaptation is used. You would then have to come back after a certain time period, and remember, your license is dependent on that. So if you don't come back to the assessment centre after a certain time period, that can end up with your license being revoked. The last outcome, which is the one we really don't want to say, is that we would suggest that it is not safe for you to continue to drive. And remember, that decision is not taken lightly. It is sadly one of the scenarios that does happen, not often. We will give everyone as much chance as possible, but it is a final decision. You will then receive a letter through the post, and sometimes by email, which we would then suggest to send off to the DVLA or the DVA. If it's a Motability referral, sometimes they may ask for that report to be sent to you as well. If you're a healthcare professional, it will be sent through to the client, but also can be sent to you. I hope this video has helped so far, and I'm now going to talk about how a vehicle familiarisation or controls lesson is conducted. So we're going to talk about a controls or vehicle familiarisation lesson. Now, driving instructors can give you a bit of advice when it comes to what type of adaptations may be good for you, but not necessarily your best option. And the reason for that is because a lot of adaptations to vehicles won't be fitted to a lot of instructors' cars because of the sheer expense. I have, for instance, a pull push lever on the right hand side of my steering wheel with an indicator toggle on the top, but I don't have a trigger system, for instance, or an over-ring or an under-ring, simply because the majority of clients will use this, but for the one or two that I might get over the course of a year, to spend £2,000 on an adaptation isn't really a viable business option. So an assessment centre, on the other hand, will have these types of adaptation for you to trial, and the assessor is in, again, the best position to be able to tell you what type of adaptation is best, and you will also feel the difference as well, because the assessor might say, yeah, this one will be good for you, whereas you might think, I just don't feel that comfortable. Say it, it's not an issue at all. You will trial the car, you will have a play around with it, you will see how the car moves and how it feels and how you feel comfortable. At the end of that lesson, you will be sort of asked what your opinion is, whereas they might also give theirs, and then you will get a report by either post or by email, and we're going to talk about the report side of things in this next clip. So we're going to talk about the report now. Now, if it's a DVLA or a DVA referred assessment, the report will be sent to the DVA or the DVLA, and you will have to request a copy of that from them. If it's a self-referred, referred, Motability, or from a professional healthcare's point of view, the assessment reports will be sent to you by post or by email. If it's a recommended assessment from a professional healthcare worker, the report will also be sent to them. I hope this has helped, and if you have any questions, pop a question in the comments section below and I will help as much as I possibly can. But also remember to contact your local medical assessment centre through the Driving Mobility website, and they will be able to help even further. I wish you all the best in your assessment.